Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Hi, I'm your host, Kyle Miller, and today we want to bring another story from another entrepreneur that's from Charlottesville, or should I say in Charlottesville, not necessarily from, that is doing some pretty cool stuff. Interesting how he's building up this business, the services that he offers, and I just want to go ahead and share his story in the journey, because that's what entrepreneurship is. It's a journey. It's a one step in front of the other, overcoming obstacles, overcoming things that pop up that you weren't necessarily looking forward to. And with that, I'd like to welcome Jim Allen. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me to join you.
Now, the business that you own, the business that you started 2 years ago.
No.
Two?
It was September of last year.
September of last year. I'm already thinking I'm in 2024. So it's called Graze Craze. Right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Graze Craze is a charcuterie board shop.
Okay.
We like to say we sell, as some of our French friends call it, conviviality and simplicité. Conviviality, joy as well as simplicity.
Okay.
We do, a lot of people put together charcuterie boards.
Mm-hmm.
They like doing it. It's therapeutic. It's fun, but it's also very time consuming, and it's a bit, it's a bit labor intensive.
Yeah.
And especially if you're doing it every once in a while. I do woodwork. I put on a roof on the little lean-to shed this past summer.
Right.
I used to put on roofs all the time, but I don't do it anymore.
Right.
Occasionally I do it. Every time you do it, you have to relearn it.
Right.
And same sort of thing here, but we're specialists in it, and we're at the corner of Preston and Ridge McIntyre, right next to Millie's Coffee.
Okay.
And we are happy to be open now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, how did you decide to get into this business? I mean, what was it? Is it some I just love charcuterie boards, or is it, hey, this is something that I think that would be beneficial to the community?
Well, actually, when I was talking the idea was broached to me by a professional coach.
Uh-huh.
And he said to me, what do you think about charcuterie boards? I said, charcuterie what? I had no idea what he was talking about.
Right.
But, we were kind of thinking about doing this. My wife and I were talking about doing something together.
Right.
She had often been saying to me that, we need to take, you need to take risks to be able to do well. And
right.
So, we can talking about doing this together. And I went down and I mentioned this to her. And she had just received a book on charcuterie boards from a friend of hers, and just maybe a month or two before I had heard of charcuterie boards myself.
Right.
So she knew all about it. She knew what it was, and she was kind of interested in it and thought it was a good idea.
That's interesting. I see the word, and sometimes I'm scared to even say it. Right, charcuterie, but I've never built it, or I've never done anything. I've never necessarily ordered, but my wife has.
Mm-hmm.
She has gotten that stuff to have at parties. She has gotten that stuff to get set up, and I always eat it, right? And it's always great food. I'm always, what's this? I'm always trying new things with it too. Is that what you typically find? Like, who's the buyer that comes in and orders from you?
I think the expectation that we have, and we've talked with others about this, that, it's probably, it's like my wife would be the one that would order it.
Right.
I would go for fried chicken or barbecue.
Right.
She would go for a charcuterie.
Right.
She buys the charcuterie. I'll eat most of it. It's just the way it is.
Right.
And I expect it's probably the same way with you. It's probably the same way in many cases that's the way it is. But I wouldn't say that all of our customers have been women, or some that men come in and they're quite interested in it for some of their holiday events for their organizations, and so, it's kind of a mix.
So you do business parties and things like that as well?
Oh, very much so. Yes.
Okay.
That's really, I kind of think when we get our business model sort of squared away, it'll be maybe 75-25. 75% of the transaction come from retail or regular consumers. 75% of the revenues will come from the commercial side of things.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so I'm assuming there's all different sizes that you can order and just different packages. Is that how it works?
Yeah, we've got everything from, you can buy these little, we call them charcuterie cups. They're a little cup that's kind of almost a snack.
Okay.
For one person. We also have a grab and go, which is for one person. It's kind of a very small charcuterie board.
Okay.
You also have I wish I could. All of a sudden, the names are escaping me, but it's like, let me see, it's the Lone Grazer. The Lone Grazer sounds like it's for one person. It's really for two. Okay. But then you go all the way up to the large boards, which will serve anywhere from 10 to 12 if they're eating, if they're, as my father used to say when my brothers and I were young, if we're on full feed, there are probably only 10 of us. But if you're not on full feed, it may be 12 or 13 people that might be able to do that. And so we can batch a number of those large boards together to feed groups as much as 100, 200 people. I know that there are people that we haven't done a 200 person event yet. Right. I take it back. I think we actually did one last week, as a matter of fact. Nice. But it can be done, and I know that there have been people that have put together these massive combinations of like 20, 25 boards. For an event. So
interesting. So how did you even get into this business? Like, I know you and your wife are looking to something, and it's only been open for a very short time now. Like, what were you doing before this? I mean, did you have any experience in the food industry in this aspect?
Well, if I go way back, my family, it was my dad, my uncle, and my aunts and my grandmother, they owned a family grain elevator in central Illinois. So we were actually in the grain business back in the up until, I think it was like 77, 78. So long time before most anyone listening to this has been born, but but nevertheless, we were in the food business back then. Since then, though, I was in the finance business from 1982 until 2020. And so I was done a lot of things, both on the analyst side, on the journalism side, on doing things like I did just most recently. I was doing advocating on financial market regulatory proposals and ideas coming from Congress and the SEC, as well as from regulators overseas and the like. So my focus has always been on finance, and mostly on banks, things along those lines. So this is a bit of a change, but it was a change when I started in investment banking, left that, went back to grad school, got a master's degree in journalism, mass communications, spent about a decade of, with a vow of poverty that I'm still paying for, and in journalism, but and then went to, and did the regulatory advisory thing. So.
Do you think that anything that you learned throughout those previous experiences has helped you in this business?
Probably mostly. It's kind of interesting. I never saw myself as a salesperson. Until I actually kind of thought about it. When I was in D.C., a lot of times you're at, going congressional office to congressional office, kind of saying, hey, this is the way you should regulate the financial markets, because you want to make sure that it's ethical, and the people who are acting ethically are not put it at a competitive disadvantage. So
Right.
and because we were, working at it from what we perceived to be our ethical advantage, we didn't make campaign contributions. Because we didn't make campaign contributions, we were behind the 8 ball every time we went in and stepped foot in an office, because we did not have the access that the other people did. So we had to make our pitch in a more profound way.
Right.
And so we kind of learned how to sell what we were selling
Right.
in DC. So now we're out kind of doing it here. We're still kind of getting our feet wet on the marketing here in town. We've been trying to get the business, sort of the operations behind the scenes in the store, as well as some of the operational aspects of things like the point of sale system and all that sort of fun thing squared away. And we've got it squared away now, so we're hoping that once the new year comes about, we'll be out marketing much more frequently.
Right.
But so that's probably something that we had. I'd say also, it's kind of one of the interesting things about the business that we have is, it's my wife and I are co-equals in this business, and I have to say she has amazed me at how quickly she picked up on. She's great at inventory management. She knows how to market. She's very good with people.
Right.
I'm trying to think also, she's very good with, she expects, I'd say she almost expects perfection on the boards, which translates into a beautiful product for the customer.
Right.
But that's very important. But, oftentimes people say, well, it's not always good to work with your spouse.
Yeah.
And the risks, you could say, would be rather significant. But another thing that I did learn from those prior experiences was the need for the people who were running the show to be on the same page and have the same goals and marching towards those same outcomes.
Right.
And there's nobody that is going to be in that. Nobody is going to have, at least for me, I would never have a partner who would be so aligned in our goals as working with my wife in this case.
That's good to have, and it's nice. There are definitely hear the pitfalls of working with your spouse or having partners, and I've been through it all and had good experiences, had bad experiences, and but to have somebody has the exact same goal as what you want, it's pretty special to have that, because then there's no really fighting, there's no back and forth. It's, hey, one goal, one team, we're aligned, we're doing our jobs, you're doing this, we're doing that, we're all coming to a common goal.
And that doesn't mean that we don't have our disagreements on how to get there. Right. But there's a trust that comes in that.
Yeah.
I have to say I've really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed watching her kind of excel in this thing. I know that she's still sort of getting her feet wet and owning a business. This is the first time she's done this too. Okay. But she's good at it. Well, business is business, right? It's the different aspects of it. There's the product, there's marketing, there's fulfillment, and you can plug that in each different type of business, and it just has different mechanisms of how it works, right? But it's pretty much the same concept of all of that. And you've looked at a lot of different things and analyzed a lot of different things. I'm sure you were able to kind of look at this and see, man, there's an opportunity here. And I think Charlottesville's like prime for this type of business. Yeah, I think you're right, and that's one thing. Kind of going back to, it's like my wife she's always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit to it too. She used to work for a winery, a berry winery, back in the 90s. And, the guy had all this wine at the end of the day that kind of went to waste. She said, I tell you what, why don't you let me take that and I'll make jam out of it. Made the jam out of it. People loved it. And he started, that was a new line of business for him.
Right.
He started, she was starting to say chocolate to go with this wine, and a different kind of food to go with that wine. So she was kind of working on that scale. But Charlottesville, like you say, it's kind of, it's really kind of a unique oasis,
Charlottesville?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived in a number of college towns, right? I've lived in Austin, Texas. I've lived in Madison, Wisconsin. I've lived here. This is probably the most unique of the bunch. Actually, I take all three of them are unique in their own way. I'd say that that we've lived here for 27 years kind of suggests that we kind of prefer this one.
Right.
That being said, I'd love to be able to go back to watch University of Texas football in Austin, but that's kind of a long ways away. But no, Charlottesville is a great place because you've got a lot of the, how would you say, the accoutrements, the events that you might find in a larger city like maybe Madison or Austin. But it's maybe it's not on the as grand a scale as in those places, but it's still here.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the Fox Field and the races out at Montpelier, right? I got the right. I've only lived here 27 years.
Right.
I haven't figured that one out yet.
And I haven't been to any of the races ever.
I've been to one of them many years ago. But in fact, one of our first sales was for somebody that went out to the races out of Montpelier.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have oftentimes talked because one of our sons goes to one son goes to Purdue in engineering there, and the other son is in engineering at the University of Kentucky. If we were to buy a franchise outside of Virginia, right, we'd buy one in Indianapolis because they've got the raceway there. They're always having events, and they always have the hospitality tents. That's what's going on at Fox Field. That's what's going on in Montpelier. That's what's going on for the UVA football games as well. Right. And they're doing that for that. They've got football games for in Indianapolis for the Colts and things along those lines. You go to Lexington, Kentucky, and they've got the horse races going on. Right. And it's just it's those kinds of places I think are perfect for charcuterie boards. You take it, go, and you just kind of pick and eat, and you never get too full, but you also never get very hungry, and therefore it's actually quite good for you.
Right. Do you have any partnerships with any local businesses or anything like that you're working or?
Well, we've just started to. I hope they don't mind my saying so, but Porsche is at their store. They've started to use some of our boards on 3 days a week. So it's kind of nice. Yeah, I love Porsche. I'm an auto racing fan. I love it. So
yeah, absolutely. What's not to like about it? Well, that's cool. I think that's with just business. I think you get involved with those types of partnerships and then just put your little card right there, and so more people know you, see you. Can be involved. They see actually the product and not just something that's on TV or on the screen. Right.
Yeah, I mean we're looking at. I haven't it's kind of weighing the positives and negatives of do we go to every winery in the area, or do we pick a few to have a special relationship with them so that they can be sort of the showcase for our charcuterie boards, and we can match our boards with their wines and the like. Right. That's one thing we're still sort of bandying about and not quite sure how we're going to end up on that score. Yeah. But we also are talking about working with we got a friend from in town here works at Darden, whose son's a sommelier, and did I pronounce that correct? I think I did. the wine expert, right? But anyway, we could kind of do some joint events with him and do some pairing of charcuteries with different types of wines and what kind of things that you could put together with them.
Yeah, I got to connect you with my buddy Maurice. He's got I think it's starting a winery, or he's got a winery, and his wife is I think the American Wine Girl, where she's huge into the wines. I think they were just in Argentina, or they were somewhere in Europe. And that's what she does. I mean, she just does the wines, and she does parties, and she does that type of thing. So that would be a good connection for you guys to work with.
I think it would be, symbiotic, I think is the term.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How do people go ahead and order with you? How do people go ahead and work with you and order the product and go about that?
Sure. I mean, we take walk-ins. We've got, our store is, like I said, at the corner of Ridge, McIntyre, and Preston. Mm-hmm. And people can walk in. Now, we don't have any place. I mean, we do have some chairs to sit down while, if they, they come in and they order and they're willing to wait and they wish to wait, they can sit in our.
How long does it take for a board to make?
Depends on what kind of board it is.
Gotcha.
If you want a,
I want the Lone Graze. It won't take, but just a few minutes. But if you want something else, it's going to be a little bigger.
The Lone Grazer will probably take 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
If you're wanting a large board, it's probably going to be more like an hour. Depends upon what kind of large board. We have it's a great board. It's a holiday board. It's got blue cheese. It's got blueberry infused goat cheese. It's got this lovely pepperoni on it. And I'm thinking there was one or two other. Merlot cheese. Mm-hmm. That's just awesome. And so it's a really nice, and they put together a cream cheese, raspberry cream cheese that serves as a dip for things. Those take a little bit longer than even the large classic boards, or keto, or vegetarian, as we call it, the vegetarian boards. The large ones will take probably 45 minutes to an hour. The large holiday board, a little more precision involved in that, probably more like around an hour and 15, hour and a half, something in that range.
How is the best? Just to order it online?
Order online is best, yes.
Yeah, order it online.
But you can also phone our phone number, 434-227-5335. You'll see it on our little Hyundai Kona driving around with the telephone number on it.
Oh, nice.
Mentions that we have free delivery within 5 miles.
Oh,
5
so
mile
free
radius.
delivery. So we can order it, and then you have free delivery in the Charlottesville market, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do that, but you can also walk in. We
Gotcha.
like to have the people walk in and get to know us, and we get to know our customers as well. That's kind of nice as well.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I'm definitely going to have to order some now, because now I'm like, man, I got to try that. Maybe Judah, we get it delivered one day, sometime soon. Why would somebody choose yours instead of going to Wegmans or something and do they have them there and picking it up, or
they do,
Whole Foods or something like that?
Why
would they choose you over them?
Well, it depends upon what they're after.
Okay.
If they're looking for something that's ready made and it's a bit cheaper, then probably Wegmans is good, but you don't get all that comes in there. You see one of our boards, like our large board. Mm-hmm. It's deceptively large.
Okay.
Because there's so much food on that thing.
Right.
There really is, and it's amazing how much you can get out of it. I think before we bought into the business, I was in Texas, and we bought a charcuterie board for my mom and dad. My mom, at that time, my mom was 89, Dad was 90, mm-hmm. and Dad just couldn't get him to eat anything.
Right.
And he went back for thirds on this thing.
Did he really?
Yeah. But it was Mom, Dad, Mom never lost her appetite during that period, but she lost it later on. But it wasn't during that period. She liked that. She's always liked that sort of thing. It was my two of my sisters and myself, and we had plenty that night. Dad went back for thirds. I probably went back for thirds myself, and then had more for the next day as well. So there's a lot of food on it. So it's, the questions, why us versus them? Well, you get more food. It's also, we use what we think are kind of premium ingredients, for the meats, the cheeses, the breads, that sort of, and the crackers and the like. And as well as the fruit, the vegetables, and so I think that we combine all those things in there. I think the traditional charcuterie is mostly just meats, and I think at like Wegmans, I think they kind of stick to the tradition in that sense. Though they do have some, I think, that mix with cheese and the like.
Right.
Whereas we're a little more expansive in what we offer.
Okay. And it's all healthy stuff, right? All the stuff that's on there is fairly healthy, clean. Like, where does the meats come from? Where does the cheeses come from? Are they specific to this area, or are they specific to do you have like certain vendors and stuff throughout the United States? Where does it all come from?
Well, we use sort of some local vendors like Cisco. It's not a local vendor, excuse me. It's sort of a national vendor, but they're top quality, and they've got the ability to pick out, and find and be able to source us with the kinds of higher end cheeses, like that Merlot cheese that I was telling you about, the blue cheese and all that. Those things they have, and they're able to source it. That being said, some other things that we do. One thing that we do right now is there's a chocolatier. That's not probably the way to say it, but it's a company in Oklahoma that makes the chocolate that we serve. It's cranberry and I'm trying to remember the kind of nuts that are in it, as well as dark chocolate. It's made by the Chickasaw Nation out of Oklahoma. Okay. And the recipe that they use is the one they reserve for Graze Craze. So we have that. It doesn't melt at some of the lower temperatures. So it takes a higher temperature to melt. It does sort of, how would you say, sweat if you put it in the fridge. So you just kind of want to leave it at room temperature or something like that. But that's there. We're looking at, we have, we're looking at sourcing some things like maybe goat cheese here in town. Okay. Not in town, in the area. We know a gentleman down in Scottsville that does goat cheese that we've talked with him for years about doing things like that. So that would be one. We're also looking at, maybe trying to find some other companies that maybe we can do some what do you call it? Some partnerships on some of the sourcing material. Yeah.
Well, I love it. I love the whole thing about how you're running the business and how, like, what you guys provide. Sorry, guys, we got the ambulance or something going by. But what you guys are doing, it's cool. I like the food. I like the model. Are you guys doing any charitable events or anything like that as well with the communities?
We do. We work with CVille Radio. And CVille radio stations and Z95 for the Teacher of the Month program. Okay. We're one of the key sponsors there. Okay. We also work with a couple of churches. We're looking at, I know one of the schools where our boys went to school is looking at doing a capital campaign. Okay. And we're probably going to be working with them on some of those, helping them with their events while they try to raise some money as well. So,
well, that's awesome, Jim. I think it's cool. Like I said, what you're doing, I like the Graze Craze. I'm definitely going to get aboard. Website to go on to? How do they find you? Again, you're on the corner of Preston and
Ridge McIntyre.
Ridge McIntyre.
I don't know why, but I have a block in my mind that I cannot say that word. But yes, it's Ridge McIntyre and Preston.
Okay. And walk in or an online, where do they find you at online?
www.grazecraze.com, and specifically search for, probably ask you what your zip code is, 22903.
Gotcha.
And that will take you to us, and it'll show you what we have. It'll also show you the ingredients that we have on our boards and the like.
Okay, awesome. So guys, if you're interested in Graze Craze, which I am, I'm actually going to get aboard. I'll surprise my wife with that. Hopefully she's not watching, so she won't know it's coming. But go check them out. Jim, it's been awesome having you on the show. Your financial, background, kind of everything that you've done and where you're headed at, and to build this business and provide a service to the city of Charlottesville and the surrounding areas. I definitely think it's probably an up and coming, thing. I don't know too many other businesses that are kind of geared towards that. So I think it's pretty cool. So guys, check them out. Graze Craze. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram too. I looked them up to kind of see some of the boards. Go to the website. You will see what they have there. Share this podcast if you enjoyed it. But check them out. Definitely. Jim, thank you so much for coming on, sharing what Graze Craze is all about, what you guys are doing, the charitable donations and stuff that you're giving as well. I appreciate you on that. I'm a huge proponent in giving back to the community, giving back to individuals, and helping people with a step up and a hand up, not a handout, right? That's what I like to do that. So with that said, guys, enjoy. This is the 21st, so Christmas is Monday. Enjoy Christmas, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you so much, and happy 2023, and happy New Year to you.
And thank you for what you do, and thank you for the invitation.
Thanks.